Do Ukrainians want a ceasefire?
Hundreds of thousands of Palestinians are traveling on foot into northern Gaza for the second straight day. Israel on Monday allowed people to return to the heavily bombarded region as part of the ongoing ceasefire deal with Hamas. Israeli forces sealed off northern Gaza in the early days of the war. About 1 million people evacuated to the south, while hundreds of thousands chose to stay despite the risk. Hamas is expected to release additional Israeli hostages on Thursday in exchange for Palestinian prisoners. The Pentagon is transferring dozens of Patriot air defense missiles from Israel to Ukraine. Two U.S. officials tell CBS News that Israel had about 90 of these missiles in warehouses and gave them to the U.S. to send to Ukraine. While military aid continues to flow into Kyiv, U.S. funding for nearly all foreign assistance programs is on pause. The State Department spokesperson said Sunday, quote, Secretary Rubio is initiating a review of all foreign assistance programs to ensure they are efficient and consistent with U.S. foreign policy under the America First agenda. The fighting...
That means they want to make sure it's an equal deal and that what's said is actually what's done. And what's done is actually going to be beneficial to both sides of the party.
Has not let up since Russia launched its full-scale invasion nearly 3 years ago. CBS News senior foreign correspondent Holly Williams is on the ground in western Ukraine.
Russian air attacks overnight wounded 8 people here in Ukraine and damaged residential buildings, according to local officials. Ukraine's Air Force said it shot down 65 drones. With Russia's assaults continuing, we've spent the last week in Ukraine finding out what people here...
It's low-key crazy that combat has now resorted to drones. You ain't even gotta be there, dog.
Think about a possible ceasefire. Remember, on the campaign trail, President Trump repeatedly claimed that he could end the war here in just 24 hours, though so far he hasn't done so. Since taking office, he said he wants to meet with Russia's leader, Vladimir Putin, as soon as possible to negotiate an end to the conflict. After nearly 3 years of grueling war, a recent poll here found that just over half of Ukrainians would now like to negotiate a ceasefire. That figure's more than doubled since the beginning of the war. But many here have told us it will only work if they have security guarantees to stop Russia from invading again. Ukraine's government shares those fears and has said the guarantees could be European peacekeepers or NATO membership. Many here have also told us they need a continued supply of American weapons to defend themselves. The bottom line is that Ukrainians want peace, but they're unlikely to agree to a ceasefire without protection from their allies, including the US.